All right, and we are live. So we're gonna wait a little bit, of course. I think that there were a few people that were kind of sitting and waiting, but we'll wait a little bit just to see if anyone else comes.
Yeah,
And
cool.
what we'll also do is we'll have this video kind of edited up and put somewhere else for people to see. That is, of course, if Lewis agrees to do so out of his busy schedule.
Now you just put me under pressure, man. You've just
Mhm.
asked that question live. I can't say no, really, can I?
No, you can. If not, like I'll do it, and we'll figure it out. Um,
Yeah. Maybe we can
so
share responsibility.
yeah, like I can do one, you can do one. It'll be great.
Sure. Okay.
So today, basically, we're just Twitter is kind of Twitter's a funny place because Twitter has all this kind of information. This stuff goes on and it secretly gets leaked out and put on Twitter.
Yeah.
Twitter's pretty toxic a lot of times, so I
Horrible.
usually avoid Twitter. But it's so
Hmm.
hard to not act like there's good information on there once in a while.
Yeah.
Um, so
Yeah,
yeah,
I
this is
agree.
one of the people that I follow because he kind of has that underground, what's going on in China type information. You know,
Hmm.
as you know, Lewis, of course, anytime you put a video up in China that exposes something like this, it kind of gets taken down quickly.
Yeah.
It's gone, and that's the thing is these clips eventually make their way out onto the Western internet where they can be archived and saved forever. So
Yeah. These kind of clips are shared around on WeChat, but then all of a sudden, they'll be on for a couple of days and then they'll just get blocked or, just completely scrubbed off of the Chinese internet. So it's quite hard to find them. What's this guy's name, by the way, this Twitter guy? I don't think I'm following him.
Song Ping Dong. So he's yeah, he's always got there's probably you know um 5 or 6 of these channels on Twitter that I follow that are like repost channels. Of course, they repost all these videos and information. Some of
Yeah.
them are really good, some of them are crap. But
Do you
this guy's
know
pretty good.
do you
So
know anything about the guy? Is he a foreigner? Is he Chinese?
it's a good question. But as you can see, he's got 15K followers or 47K followers,
Whoa.
and he's followed by C Milk and Winston,
Mm-hmm.
whoever they are. Never heard of those guys.
Who are those guys?
Right? But
Oh, the
he's
other
followed.
China commentators, whatever, whatever.
Yeah, right. The people that are actually known. Um, but so yeah, no. Basically, just to get started here, what we can see is again the point of this video is I'll kind of explain, and then maybe you can explain kind of how it is in the UK. Here in America, people don't understand how big of a deal COVID is in China. Like I
Yeah,
don't know about you guys. People here, and keep in mind, I live in the state of Florida. They're not wearing masks. They're going around maskless, doing whatever they want. Life has been normal for quite a long time now. What about where you're at? Because how long have you
yeah.
been back in the UK now?
So I think it's coming up for 6 months now. And yeah, like you said, it's pretty much the same. People are over COVID. Hardly anyone wears a mask these days. If someone is wearing a mask, you kind of look at them like, "Oh yeah, that's that thing that happened a, a while
Mhm.
ago. What was it called again? COVID? Yeah, yeah."
Mm.
It's like, it's pretty much been forgotten about. There's no restrictions. I don't even think to come into the UK right now, I don't even think you need to be vaccinated or anything like that. I think it's just a case of you can come here, don't even need to take a COVID test. So
Right.
yeah, gone, but not forgotten. Obviously, we
Mm.
still remember it, and it's still considered a bit of a thing here. Whereas you still see like the odd like news article about it, that kind of thing. But mostly people are just over it.
Yeah. So for us, our leftist media, our Democrats here, their agenda is still kind of to push the conversation. So for our left sided media,
Mm,
left wing media, they're still pushing the conversation of COVID. But
yeah,
even among like a lot of people that are consider themselves to be Democrats, they're not all really even wearing masks in a lot of places that would
hmm,
consider to be more left leaning, a lot of those places are not really even wearing masks.
Yeah.
Um, that being said, I remember when I first came back to Chicago, and contrary to popular belief, people said, "Oh no, they're not testing for COVID in America." I was actually ripped out of line by police, and they were like, "Hey, anybody that was recently in China, if you were
Hmm.
there, get tested now, because if we find out, like it's your ass basically."
Yeah.
And so I was tested a couple years ago, of course, when I returned. It's been a couple years now when I returned to America.
Mm.
But that being said, what they're going through in China is nothing like here nor there, I assume. Again, I'm not there, but from what you're telling me, it's not the same at all. So, you know,
Yeah, we don't have lockdowns here.
yeah, and for those people that don't know, basically in China, you have a QR code, you have an app on your phone, and depending on how that app is, tells you whether or not how you're going to live your life that day. If you have the green, you can go places, you can do things, you can ride the bus. If you've got that nasty yellow or that nasty red, you can be staying indoors. You're not,
Quarantined. Yeah.
yeah, you're not going anywhere. You're not allowed on the bus, whatever that may be. And
Hmm.
here, what it says is, by simply the click of a button on a computer, Chinese government remotely switched these people's vax passport. That's what they're calling it, a vaccine passport, to
Yeah.
code yellow. Mm.
And I want to just say, like, what's even more nefarious is that the government could just switch everybody's to red on a whim. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like, let's say there's some people and they're planning to protest, kind of secretively planning a protest, and then the government get wind of this, and then all of a sudden, maybe these people's phones will just all turn red, have a red QR code. It really is just, yeah, it's just insane, right?
Mhm. Yeah, there was a case of a situation where they knew, as you just said, you know, where there was going to be a protest, and they just used it to keep everyone at home. And it's funny because that's not what the system is used for,
Yeah,
supposedly, but
yeah,
that's what it's used for, right? It's like
yeah,
that's not what it's used for, but that's what we're gonna use it for, because
yeah,
that's what they
yeah, yeah.
planned it for. That's
It's
the
a
real plan
very
there.
convenient tool for the government to control the masses.
Yeah, yeah, of course, because everyone in China has a phone. Your 85-year-old grandma has a phone, and
Yeah.
she has that app on it, of course, now. So
Hmm. Next
you can
to Xi
see,
Jinping's little red book or whatever it's called.
yeah, right. And you can see people that are rushing to get their COVID test to make sure that it's normal, so they can get back their green QR code. So imagine, you get a yellow QR code, got to go get tested. Ooh. So you see
Right.
people that are running what appears to be like running for their life. You'd think that there was like a freaking
Horde of
dinosaur
zombies.
chasing these people. Yeah, like a bomb just went off.
Yeah. What I
But no,
wanted
they're
to
going to get
what I wanted
tested.
to point out for this one is that the people are running not because they're afraid of catching COVID. They're running because they're afraid of their app getting a red QR code, and then their whole life will be shut down. So they're not afraid of the virus itself. They're afraid of actually, the government controlling them. That's what they're running from, right?
Exactly, and that is again, as I said to you earlier, that is a point that completely I didn't even think about, but is terribly true. You know, you see thousands of people right next to each other. They're not afraid of the contagious disease. You know,
Mm,
they're
yeah,
literally afraid of this app. You know,
yeah, exactly. It's
and
just
you
crazy.
think, oh, so what? It goes from green to yellow to red. So fucking what? But it changes their life significantly. You know,
Yeah. I mean, the solution is worse than the problem itself.
right? Exactly. And here, we're just gonna scroll down in the Twitter feed and kind of comment on it. Here, what it was there's an iPhone factory, in China. And imagine this for a minute. Let's say that your work is hundreds of miles away from where you live. A lot of Chinese are migrant workers, of course.
Yeah. Mhm.
A lot of these iPhone factories are not in downtown Guangzhou or downtown Dalian or whatever it may be. They're outside of these cities. Maybe it takes you an hour and a half to get there.
Yeah.
So these people were working at an iPhone factory, and their code changed, and they're leaving.
They're
But
allowed to
because
leave.
their code is yellow,
Mm.
they cannot get transportation to go home. So where do you go? Well, you just you go to the streets around and hope that family can come get you, family
Yeah.
or friends or something, right?
Yeah. But they're actually was so they were not locked into the factory then?
Yeah, and well, that's a very good question, and you are correct in that question. It is a good question. We'll scroll down here, and it'll eventually be revealed, but it's a good question. So as you
Okay.
can see, yeah, it's like military rolling into the Chinese factory, the iPhone factory.
It's like
This is
the
not
beginning of the apocalypse, isn't it?
right. It's like a movie, like it's like a movie or something.
Wow.
Imagine you're sitting outside where your work is and you see this happening. What do you think's going to happen next?
Scary shit.
I mean, you think COVID is scary? Like, look at this.
I'm
You
far
know,
more scared of the Chinese military than I am of COVID, I'll tell you that one.
to me, I would be like, "What is this? The zombie apocalypse? Like, what's going
Yeah,
on?"
it does. It looks like the beginning of like one of those found footage movies. You know what I mean? Like a real sort of independently made, like really cool zombie horror movie, a zombie apocalypse movie. That's what it looks like.
Yeah, China doesn't know it, but their best movies actually happen in real life. It's like the movies that are directed with directors and things like they suck. But like if you
Yeah,
could just record the real life in China all the time, the real life, the stuff that actually happens that gets filmed with phones. Like
yeah,
imagine if they had like a super amazing camera here, a red camera, you
yeah.
know, and they had the window down and great audio and they were filming this.
I
You'd be
think
like, oh,
even on this crappy phone camera, it's still very effective. You know, just
yeah,
a touch of
yeah.
dramatic music over there, maybe it would be better.
It's like the TV show Chernobyl. If you'd ever seen the TV show
Uh,
Chernobyl,
I haven't. No, is it good?
yeah, it's really good. It's really good. You'll have to
I'll
watch
check
it.
it out.
It's really creepy vibe, but
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. So we'll scroll down a little bit more here.
yeah. Is this all from the same guy? Yeah.
Yeah, this is all from the same guy. Like his content is like, unfortunately, he's resharing everything that has been filmed in this orientation of for TikTok and type stuff.
Uh, yeah, man. That's like the amateur way to film something in the old portrait view.
Because yeah, this is like the what's really happening in China, and Chinese people are putting this stuff out on TikTok and WeChat and those types of places because this is where it's actually posted in China. So this of course has to happen.
Hmm.
Um,
Imagine this dude got caught.
yeah, yeah, like if this dude is in China and like and he got caught, like goodbye. We'll see you next never. He'll never appear again.
Yeah, I mean,
And this
if they
is
can get rid of like the former leader of China, Hu Jintao, then they can definitely just get rid of some dude posted on Twitter.
right. So yeah, as you can see, like look at these people every day. They got to go and get tested every day, every
Yeah,
day. How can you live your life even somewhat normal, knowing that every single day you have to go get tested? You know,
it's,
it's like, is this even life? Are they even living anymore? You know what I mean?
yeah, it's horrible. It's
Do do
horrible.
you do you think people in the UK would they do this? Would they go this far for their government? In the UK.
Only if it was like, like the virus was a really serious one where you were literally seeing people dying like on the streets and ambulances whizzing past every 5 seconds. I'm pretty sure people, they would do this kind of thing, but not for like the COVID this whole like coronavirus thing, where it's kind of been proven with the whole Omicron strain that it's not as bad as like the initial, the start of the pandemic where when it all started in Wuhan. You know what I mean? I don't think British people would be willing to do this. Like lining
Yeah.
up every day, getting tested every day, and if you don't do your test, then you pretty much like there's so many restrictions put on you. It People just wouldn't be into that. They just wouldn't do it, man. How about in the States? I know the answer to that question already. They would just say no. They wouldn't do it, right?
Yeah, no, it would be impossible. It wouldn't work. It's probably again like you said, if the death rate was like super high,
Hmm.
if it was like 50% people dying from it and body bags were just laying around everywhere, yeah, you'd probably have an easier chance of getting people to do this more often. But
Yeah,
you know, same
yeah.
thing. People are going to get fed up with it. But people in China are very compliant with their government. It's
Do they
an
have a choice?
unfortunate. Yeah, of course they don't have a choice, right? We know what the alternative of non-compliance with the Chinese government is. So
Yeah.
you do what you have to do, and pretty sad when you think about it.
Well, they're still trying to sell it like they're doing it because they care about the people. Their government. They're trying to, make out that it's Xi Jinping's big thing to get rid of zero COVID, and isn't he doing a great job? And because that's the only media that the people there consume, then I guess you could say they're being brainwashed, and they think that this whole pandemic is a lot worse than it actually is.
Right.
So yeah, they probably feel like they have to do this, and of course, like I said earlier, do they have a choice? No, they don't. So they just get on with it. This is China. They're very, they're very strong. The people are very strong in China, and they can take a lot of crap from
Yeah,
the government, can't they?
sure. And they have been, unfortunately, Chinese people have been trained over the years to be submissive, to do what their government tells them. And it's happened through years of brainwashing and, generational, something that's generational now. You have a couple generations of people that have been brainwashed, into to doing what they're told. And again, to talk about how extreme this is in cases in China, Lewis hasn't seen any of these clips. I looked through a few of these clips earlier, and so he's really winging it. All of his commentary is completely just he's literally following and commentating what I'm putting out here. So, how about this one? What do you think about this? Imagine you have to scan a QR code
To get into
to
a toilet.
use the fucking toilet, bro.
um, that's pretty messed up. Yeah. I
Mm,
mean, it's literally they're just tracking you wherever you go now, even if it's just for the
mm.
toilet, just to go on the crapper.
Mm,
I
I
mean,
know.
I wouldn't want to use those toilets anyway, to be fair.
Right, right. Not only are the toilets in China horrible, but now you gotta have your COVID test to use the toilet, which means that
Wow.
on some app somewhere it says XXX Bob
Mm,
Xiaoping used toilet,
dump.
took a dump, flushed twice at the toilet at
Yeah.
10:30 a.m. It's like, do you really care so much that this guy
Mm,
took a dump at this certain time, and you're
yeah.
going to force him into having a little app that he has to scan to
Mental.
go take a dump?
Even in Taiwan, they did have very strict COVID policies.
Sure.
You had to scan, like, no matter where you went, like, you went to the supermarket or you went to, like, the 7-Eleven or to a restaurant, a bar, whatever, you had to scan this QR code thing. But I
Sure.
never saw one on a freaking toilet.
Right.
Like,
And
what the
and
hell?
and keep in mind this is a public toilet too, so it's like not only is this a public toilet, but they're paying security to sit at the public toilet all day.
Yeah.
Like
And
think of the investment that China is putting into zero COVID. They have
Hmm.
to have all these people
Yeah.
hired and paid to sit at public toilets, to sit at buildings, to
Hmm.
check these QR codes. Like the sheer amount of like, it's almost like, I don't know. It's like if you really want to stop COVID, people should be indoors. But the
Yeah.
amount of people that you have to have outdoors all the time checking people to see if they're positive with COVID is like, you
Yeah.
know what I mean?
But that's one thing that China doesn't really lack is a big expendable workforce, right?
Sure. They have a lot of manpower, you know.
Mm.
It's just, it's funny because it's like they want everyone working for the government, you know, in China. And this is one way to do it. Everybody works for the government, you know, and everybody's got a government job now. And now you depend on the government. And it's like,
Yeah.
what do you do for a living? Oh, I'm the QR code guy. Oh, where do you work at? The public
Toilet.
toilet, you know. The toilet protector, you know, protecting the toilets. And it's like, well, I've got a government job though, so it'll never go away until the
Yeah.
government changes it, you know, because they will.
It's interesting that you say about how much money it's costing them to kind of keep up this workforce to protect everybody. But I was also thinking like it must like cost a hell of a lot of money to get all of these like PCR tests done, and also the people that check the tests every day. That's a hell of a lot of PCR tests going on there if they're doing it like every other day, right?
Hmm.
It's
Yeah, of
crazy.
course, of course. And you're talking about the fact that their GDP is getting smaller, companies are not working as much, factories are not working as much, and then on top of it, you've got to pay for all these people to maintain this zero COVID policy.
Yeah.
You know.
I'm curious to know what your opinion is on like obviously China they bodge statistics all the time, yeah. What do you think about the COVID, the amount of people who have died from COVID in China? Do you think that's a accurate reflection of how many people actually did die?
No, I think it's astronomically not talked about. You know, they had that thing where they talked about how the amount of people with phone numbers in China has went down, you know, significantly. How many people are using phone services down significantly. They've talked about how bright the country of China is has changed significantly, and the
Mm,
fact that less factories and less houses actually have lights on at night.
kind of like North Korea, yeah.
Right, right. They can tell by the amount of import export, um, and things how many people are working. You know, they can tell that all of these things are down. So we know that a significant portion of people have died. And here's the thing: it's not really something um, that people should be shocked about. And the reason for that is because you have a country with an astronomically large population that has very low standards for health, very low standards
Hmm.
for food quality and hospital quality.
Yeah.
I always tell people the same thing. I'd never seen such a low level hospital until I had went to
No
China.
soap, right?
Yeah, it was something that I would have expected to have seen in like a super poor West African country. The conditions were the same.
Hmm.
And then yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. As you said, how can they stop COVID when they don't even have soap in the bathrooms? You know?
Hmm. Yeah, because they say that I think it's like 5,200 people have died from COVID in China,
Yeah.
apparently.
Yeah, probably just today. You know what I mean? Because like
Yeah.
uh again, it's a unfortunate truth is that when you have such a large population like that, and to be honest, an elderly population too. There are a lot of older people in China, and as this guy, a lot of them smoke and things like that too. On top of
Yeah.
it, you know, not saying I'm the what to look at for the most healthy person, you know, but
Mhm.
a lot of Chinese people smoke, you know, and
Yeah.
COVID is a respiratory disease, you know.
It's very much part of the culture there, smoking. Like,
Sure.
like you'll get like you'll be at a spring festival and they'll be going around and giving each other like packs of cigarettes as gifts and stuff, and at
Mhm.
weddings and that kind of thing. Yeah,
Sure.
yeah. So pretty
Sure.
much everybody smokes.
Yep. 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 And just kind of scrolling down here, there is
Sure.
more.
Yeah.
It's basically more of just you see people like lining up in the snow. Even it's true. Like I personally lived in a warm climate in China. I
Yeah.
know that you lived in a colder
Freezing.
climate in China.
Freezing
Um,
cold. I could not
it,
imagine having to stand in a line outside in Dalian in the middle of the winter. The wind is just unforgivable, man. Like you just would not want to do it.
mhm.
No
Yeah,
way.
it would be. You think it would be impossible, really, because up there it
Yeah.
gets super cold, right?
It's like, like knee deep snow sometimes.
Right. And here, you
What is
see
this?
the extreme that they're going door to door
Oh my God.
to test people.
What are they, like freaking animals?
That's what I'm saying. Like the way that people have been treated in China
Disgusting.
because of this COVID thing is extreme.
They're
You know
having a
what I
good
mean?
laugh about it. Can you hear them laughing?
Yeah. And it's something that's laughed at, but it's like, isn't it terribly embarrassing? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, my gosh, again, just a lot more of people lining up in the snow.
In the snow, yeah. Look at that.
that would that would be terrible.
You're gonna
There's
catch a really bad cold from doing that, right?
Yeah,
Not to mention how close proximity these people are. Their chances of catching COVID have increased exponentially because they're standing in a large group of people, like a big crowd. Like if they just stayed at home, they wouldn't the chance would be minimized. It's just ridiculous.
sure, sure. You know, here is the iPhone factory, I guess here in Zhengzhou, and you can see the people that they're leaving because they have been starving to death. People have been stuck here without food, and they're just doing anything they can to leave.
Yeah, I don't blame
And
them.
a lot of people be like, "Oh, this is not real. This is bullshit." Here in a few, you'll actually see them taking bodies out of the factory. It's real. Like people have died.
Oh,
You
really?
know, people have actually died um,
Jesus.
because of this. So it's crazy. It really is next level type stuff.
Look, the solution is a billion times worse than the problem. There's something wrong with what they're doing in China. Definitely. Like,
It makes you wonder when you have this many people. You would almost think that the solution would be to allow people to get it so that a natural immunity could happen because
the whole herd immunity thing.
right, because I don't think it's just not possible to vaccinate everyone, have everyone vaccinated, and make sure that no one ever gets it when you have a population like this.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
know,
as is evident from what's happening in all of these videos, right?
but it says they have more than 100 miles, to go home. So, like,
Yeah, better book
what
that DD.
yeah, like what do you do? How do you get home? There's no, and you don't see like government buses that are like, listen, we're gonna help you guys out.
Yeah, I
Where's
know.
where's Big Brother at?
Where's
Big
this
Brother's supposed to be like out
caring
here.
government, this benign, all powerful, omnipresent government that's supposed to be for the people that they keep saying? I keep hearing these what are they called? Wolf warriors on Twitter, talking about how the Chinese government cares so much about the people. Well, I don't see it in this video.
Yeah, no, not a single government official is out here doing anything to get people home safely with their families to their families.
Yeah,
You
man.
know, what you instead see are these like people with their families' cars that are pulling out personal cars.
Yeah.
But what you do see the government doing is putting
Jesus.
up this razor wire, you
Wow.
know,
What's this?
to
Just on a
stop.
on a on a road or something?
Yeah, so they as it says, to stop these iPhone factory workers from buying food and water on their way to home.
Fuck.
Can
Why?
you like imagine?
Why?
They don't want you to get food or water. They're like,
一
no,
天24小时把守，
Seriously,
防止
man.
外边有人偷跑回来。
like
Use Taobao.
我得保护着村里边的几千口人呢。这个
Yeah,
to
man. This
think
is
that
like this. This
how
is
did
just
it get so far? You know?
really, really. Aren't you just sick of hearing about how messed up COVID is in China right now?
It's funny because it's like you're like, wow, it's crazy, and then you're like, well, there's no reason to talk about it because look how extreme it's gotten, and then like
Yeah,
something else comes out and it's even more extreme than you thought, and you're like, fuck, we've got to talk about it again, you
yeah.
know. And
It was
even though it's been
yeah.
talked
Sorry.
about, it's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah, yeah. Like it was the whole COVID thing that made me leave China in the first place. Yeah, because I mean, like, I don't know about you, but when I was there, when did you leave China again, Corey? It was kind of like around COVID time, wasn't it?
So I left right as it was getting started to be really bad. Like
Mm,
basically, Donald Trump was like, "Hey, Americans, it's time for you to come home if you're in China." And I was
yeah.
like, you know what? I think I'm gonna listen to the guy for once. I'm gonna go home. And pretty much after I had left, a week later, the area that I lived in actually went into lockdown completely. Now
Right.
I was already in lockdown for um, about 45 days actually, where I couldn't go out, couldn't go anywhere, couldn't ride the metro. We could only have food delivered to us.
Yeah.
So I was
Hmm.
already under lockdown for quite some time before I'd left, and so I left as soon as I could, you know. But I
Yeah.
wasn't about to get stuck full time in China for over a year and not know if I could work, not know if I could leave, not know. And it was
Yeah.
unfortunate because after I'd left, it had taken some time for my wife to come. Um, but that being said, my wife and her family, of course, they're Chinese, and they were understanding of what would be coming. They've lived it their whole lives. They have been caged like that their entire life.
Mm,
So I had this battle of feeling horrible the entire time being here in America, living a normal life until we could get my wife out.
yeah.
But it was just like a weight lifted off of my shoulders when she actually made it here. You know,
I bet.
um, it's unfortunate that her family is still stuck in China and that we haven't gotten them out yet. It takes time, but as soon as we can, we will because it's
That's
just
good.
getting too extreme, over in
Yeah.
China.
I mean, it was always extreme from the onset, though, wasn't it? Like, because
Sure.
I was seeing videos of people being welded into their homes, and I saw that one video where some woman got shoved into this, like, it looks like a massive, like, washing machine on the back of some truck, and like, there she's just screaming, and there's a little kid speaking, saying, "Mom, what's going on?" That really like freaked me out. So it's been extreme right from the start. It's just getting more and more absurd, I think.
Right. It's always been extreme, and you know that was the thing about living in China was when I first moved there, it wasn't quite as extreme. It wasn't very extreme at all. It was actually quite free in the sense that like the government didn't really mess with people so much,
Yeah.
and it changed. Every year it became more and more restrictive,
Hmm.
and by the time I left, it was unbearable for a person from the Western world
Yeah.
that is used to having those freedoms just as a basic way of life, right?
I just don't get how anybody could still live in China as a foreigner now. I mean, I get it for some people. Yeah, I mean, they've got a wife there, or They like the money that they get from their job, but there must be an alternative.
Here's the thing that I always thought was crazy was that the people that the unfortunate truth is that a lot of the people that are living in China and making more money at these training centers or these schools, the only way that's really possible is if you were just not very successful in your home country. Now, I realize some people are late bloomers in life. Some people just, you can chalk it up to luck or whatever, and they never made it. Whatever. It's just that situation of like, you should be able to do better in your own Western country than in China.
Yeah,
And if you're
agreed.
not, then there's probably a reason for that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's the unfortunate truth because I remember when I went to China and went through that honeymoon period. And I was like, this is great, this is awesome.
Yeah.
But I quickly
Hmm.
realized that like my opportunity for employment was significantly less after having a finance job that was lost in China.
Yeah.
I was contracted. I had a contractual agreement with a Western company to work in China, and after that went away, I was essentially put into that pool as everyone else.
ESL teacher.
Yeah, right. It's like now I'm a teacher, and then you realize like the pay's not that great, the
Hmm.
job's not that great, and it's like,
Yeah.
what do you do now?
What I don't get as well is like a bunch of like some foreign, well, not a bunch of them, just some foreigners in China. They really like making YouTube videos and they want to be a YouTuber. Like, why the hell would you want to be a YouTuber in China, a place where the whole thing is blocked by the government? It doesn't make sense.
Here's the thing: is that stuff like this here that we're seeing on Twitter,
Mm,
um, it happens all the time in like all the time in China. There's a lot of material that can
true.
be filmed in China
Yeah.
that's interesting, that's shocking, that is just it's amazing material. The unfortunate part is, as you said, it's blocked. It's not allowed to be shown, and
Well,
showing it can get you arrested. You know.
yeah, the shills, they never really put anything too risky on their channels anyway, right? They only just show the fake positive stuff that they're always trying to make up, or what the government
Exactly.
tells them is okay.
Exactly. You have a lot of these shills. They get mad and they're like, "Well, look at Serpent A and look at Lawa 86. They've grown their channels based upon all this scary stuff." And it's like, yeah, they're showing you what's actually happening in China, the stuff that's shocking, the stuff that's real.
Yeah,
They're giving you a real insider's look at what China is. This is what people really want to see. The problem is you can't live there and show it to people because you'll go to jail. You know. Um, so it's like it's an unfortunate truth that you could come to America and you could go around and you could show the homelessness in California and
yeah,
no one's going to arrest you because
hmm,
everyone already knows it's a problem. It's
yeah,
already being talked about by the locals. It's already being talked about by the government,
hmm,
and even though something should be done better than is being done, you know, you're not going to get in trouble for talking about it. Whereas in China, it's like, again, they're carrying a body outside of a dorm at the
Jesus,
iPhone factory.
yeah,
And the government here will tell you, and Chinese people will tell you, the shill Chinese people, the people that are pro government will say, "Oh, it doesn't happen. It's
hmm,
on video. You
yeah,
can't
yeah.
deny it."
There it is, like right in front of your eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
This person starved to death. By the way, they didn't actually die from COVID. They starved to death.
yeah, exactly. Like I keep saying, is the solution is like far worse than the goddamn problem. It's crazy.
Yeah, imagine that. And actually, I lived in Guangzhou, and I seen these two. These were people. Um, this, of course, is in Guangzhou,
Hmm.
where the code has been changed, and now everyone's like, "Oh shit, our
Oh
code has been
Jesus.
changed. What do we do now?"
Yeah.
You would flee. You would do whatever you had to do. You would go buy whatever you had to buy. You would be you know
Yeah.
it would be
And
chaotic.
and they're not afraid of the virus. They're afraid of like getting in trouble from the government.
Right, they all have to go take their COVID test now because they don't want to lose their freedoms that they think that they have.
Yeah.
They feel like, well, shit, we've only got bare minimum freedoms as is, and now they're going to take those away too. You know,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. Imagine just walking along happily, you're at the square, like Chinese people, they go to the square every night, walk along with their kids. Then all of a sudden, your phone just changes, it vibrates, or, you get a ping or whatever. And all of a sudden, you've got that goddamn red code. And then someone next to you sees that, and then they freak out, and it just causes mass hysteria, mass panic. And all you did was went for a walk in the square.
right. And see, there's just multiple clips of it happening
Oh, go up.
again.
What was that one? Sorry, this one I've seen recently. Look at that. How many people are there? That is a potential breeding ground for a virus, if ever I've seen one.
I know, right? Like, think about that. It's like we don't want to spread the virus, really, because you're kind of doing the opposite of what you should be doing.
Yeah.
If you're actually worried about the virus.
Look at these people. They're like literally compacted like a tin of sardines right
Yeah,
next to each other.
thousands and thousands of people.
Yeah, like they're filling up the entire pedestrianized pathway. Like
Yeah,
seriously,
yeah.
mental. Where do you see this zero COVID thing going? Do you think it's going to last long?
Um. Well, I don't think that there's going to be. I think that eventually, zero COVID will no longer be zero COVID. It will transform into something else. I don't see the QR codes going away anytime soon.
Yeah.
Um, what I will be honest, I did see in the comment, and I didn't read the comment, um, but someone said that zero COVID is the next great leap forward. And
Mm,
I had this conversation with another person before that said the same thing. And it's a very great point. This is the next great leap forward.
yeah.
I don't think it's going away. I think the name of it will change. Maybe it
Yeah.
won't be zero COVID, but as far as the control and the manner that they're using it, I think will be the same.
Yeah.
If you've ever read Animal Farm, of course
Mhm.
you know how the book goes and how it ends. We're
Yeah.
pretty
Yeah.
much seeing par for par, uh, Xi Jinping dictatorship, uh, work itself out. So
Yeah.
yeah. Um, so
I
let's go
agree.
ahead and try to end the stream here.
Okay.
And
Do you want to read some comments?
yeah, let's go ahead and read comments, and then we will give your final thoughts and my final thought.
Sure.
Um, so let's see. You can't see the comments, so
I can actually. They're on the side
okay.
there.
Yeah, I'll let you go ahead and read some comments then.
Okay, let's see. We'll start with Lenny Frost, I guess. That's the first one I can see. It says Chinese media blocks mention of 27 people killed in a bus ride to a COVID quarantine center. Early hours of the morning. Driver full biohazard suit despite fully separate driver's compartment. Yeah, I remember that story. Did you see that story?
No, I didn't.
Oh,
But
so 20 the bus was taking people to a COVID quarantine center and it crashed and 27 people died. It's fucked
oh
up, man.
God, I believe it though. Like that's the type
Yeah,
of shit. That's the type of shit that happens. When you have something like this happening, that is completely unnecessary. They're going out of their way to do all these things. It's like,
yeah, yeah. It's horrific. It's horrific. Okay, so Lenny Frost also said, problem is China is unable to produce an effective vaccine, yet refuses to approve an effective Western vaccine.
Hmm.
Yeah, that is true.
Sure, it's funny because I remember when a few South American countries in the early days were purchasing the Chinese vaccines, and I think like Brazil was one of them, and they were like, "Hey, like, you guys said this thing was going to be like 90% effective or something," and they're like, "We're finding that it's only like," or it was like what was it, like 98% effective, and they're like,
Yeah,
"We're finding that it's only like 83% effective or 82%." Like,
probably lower than that.
yeah, they're like, "What's going on?" And it's like, yeah,
China gave you a vaccine. That's what's going on.
yeah, like you purchased a vaccine from China, and it's like they didn't, you know what I mean? It's that's a complete other story, to be honest. But that's
Yeah,
another typical thing that you'll see in China is the
yeah.
numbers are not as correct and things are not as effective as they say that they are. Yeah.
Let me read another comment then. I'll read a few. Is that okay? Because it's always nice to sort of interact with the guys here.
Mhm.
Uh, let's see. William Edward Hackman said, I never got COVID while living here in California. He got lucky then, didn't he?
Mm. Yeah, sure. I to be fair, I've had COVID twice. First time it kind of sucked. The second time I was like, do I have COVID or not have COVID? I
Yeah.
got tested and they were like, yeah, you got COVID, and I was like, oh, okay. I, like it wasn't affecting my daily life at all, but I still had to stay
Yeah.
home, of course.
I don't even know if I've had it or not, to be honest with you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Mitch from Germany says, I live in Germany, and while we did have lockdowns at the start of the pandemic, there's almost no measures nowadays except masks in trains, hospitals, and at the doctors, which is annoying, but not this. Well, I mean, that still seems quite strict if you have to wear a mask on the train.
Yeah.
They stopped doing that sort of stuff in the UK like months ago, maybe even like a year ago now. Yeah, no masks anywhere. Um, yeah, but so Germany still masks on trains? Wow,
Hmm.
crazy.
You're gonna have to take a trip to Germany because you can take a train all the way to Germany, can't you?
Let me see. I know that the Eurostar goes to Paris, Belgium, Amsterdam in Holland. Yeah, I guess it would go to Germany. I haven't looked it up though, but
That'd be a good
probably.
video. Lewis rides a train all the way to Germany.
Hell yeah, man! I would definitely go to Germany. Like, I would love to go there. I've never been to Germany.
And
Okay.
we can see if they wear masks on their trains there. Figure it out.
Oh yeah, like so you're on the Eurostar to Germany, and then when you sort of cross over the border, you have
Put
to
on your
instantly
mask.
put on a mask. Yeah, it doesn't sound right, does it? Okay. Blake Jackson said goldfish flakes dropped in their bowls. Hard to give up. I guess he's talking about the Chinese government's control on the Chinese people, perhaps.
Yeah.
Um, okay, William Edward Hackman. I'm a YouTuber in California. Never heard of you, mate.
It's like until now, you've heard of me now.
I've heard of you now, buddy. I will go and check it out. William Edward Hackman. Alrighty, dude. We've read a few comments. I think
Mhm.
let's just sign off, man.
Yep. So I want to thank everyone for watching. Of course, I'm gonna check out Lewis's page here. He's Free China. You can just if you type it Free China into YouTube, you'll find him. If you want to give me some of your money and help me buy a car, because that's exactly what I need is another car just for the hell of it, you can head on over to my page. You can head to my Patreon page.
Yeah, please go and check out my video about the Chinese police stations, the secret Chinese police stations that are operating here in the UK. I made a really awesome video with Stan from Poland, another YouTuber. Really good
Right.
stuff. And also on my YGZ channel, I put out a video about. I went to Oxford Street, the busiest street in London, and I asked like all of the like pedestrians, all of the passers-by, if they think Taiwan is a country, yes or no.
Mhm.
And I did actually speak to some Chinese people as well, which was quite interesting. So go and check it out.
Yeah, Lewis's last few videos have actually been really good videos. The police station thingy was hilarious because people were like, "What?" They had no idea, right?
Yeah,
So,
absolutely no idea. Yeah.
lovely video. Check out his channel and everything, guys. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe to both of us, and have a good day.
Oh, I just want to say, JD, thank you for coming in. JD is a long time subscriber, and I just saw him pop up in the chat there. So nice to see you, mate.
Oh yeah, hopefully you can catch the entire stream next time, JD. But thanks for being a supporter always.
Yeah, cool.
Alrighty, and
All right,
boom.
peace.